Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Tales of Herding Gods based on novel. So let's start. After a moment, Qin Mu saw the old Daoist halfway up the mountain, stripped naked. He squatted on the cliff with no care. When he saw Qin Mu riding the dragon Qin, the old Daoist immediately hugged his shoulders. Qin Mu pretended not to see anything and walked past him. The old Daoist let out a sigh of relief, and Qin Mu suddenly turned back to ask, "How can I meet Dao Master?" The old man was embarrassed and angered. Dao Master Lin is at the Jade Void Monastery at the mountain peak. Qin Mu gave his thanks and took out a piece of clothing to throw at him. The old Daoist immediately caught it and wanted to give his thanks, but Qin Mu had already walked away. Once they came to the mountain peak, they could see waterfalls and springs. Many disciples of Dao sect were currently practicing their sword moves under one waterfall, beside which were the 14 writings of Dao sword. It was placed there for everyone to observe. The disciples of Dao sect practiced their swords in weird ways. They first calculated with all kinds of tools. Qin Mu could see that they actually forged the tools of calculation, like Wuji diagram, Taiji diagram, for symbols diagram, 5 elements diagram, and 8 trigrams, into treasures, forming the structure of 3-dimensional space to continue performing calculations. These Daoists look like geomancers. Qin Mu thought to himself. When they came to a conclusion, the disciples of Dao sect would leap up, their flying swords swaying. Their sword skills were extraordinary. Qin Mu couldn't help watching for a moment before exclaiming in his heart, "Dao sect is truly a sacred ground, they are very serious in their learning." A young Daoist nun was seeking to solve an equation without any result, making her so urgent she scratched her ears. Once she saw Qin Mu, she immediately came over to greet him. "This senior brother, who are you looking for?" Qin Mu jumped down and said, "Is Dao Master Lin Xian around?" "My name is Qin Mu, I need to find him." "Dao Master is at Jade Void Monastery. He just came back from Little Jade capital 2 days ago," said the young Daoist nun while pointing at a Daoist monastery to the side. Qin Mu looked at her tools of calculation and stretched out a finger to pluck 2 times at her 8 trigrams plate with a smile. The 64 hexagram astronomical phenomenon can be solved like this. The young Daoist nun immediately looked at her 8 trigrams plate and was stunned for a moment before becoming delighted. When the group left, an old Daoist nun asked, "Who was that person?" He said his name is Qin Mu and he has come to find Dao Master Lin. The young Daoist nun smiled. "He helped me solve this hard astronomical phenomenon question conveniently so I could go through with solving the numbers of Milky Way stars." The old Daoist nun was astonished. "Qin Mu? That's the heavenly devil cult master. This old devil killed God knows how many of our senior brothers and he still dares to barge into our Dao sect." The young Daoist nun jumped in shock. "Heavenly devil cult master? Is he here to kill Dao Master? What should we do?" The old Daoist nun smiled. "Our Jade Void Monastery has all the experts of our Dao sect. If he tries anything, Heavenly Devil cult will have to choose another cult master. Let us practice our sword. There's no need to bother with him." In Jade Void Monastery, Qin Mu saw a bunch of old Daoists and old Daoist nuns. Some of them were squatting in the garden and looking at a fresh flower with keen interest, some were sprawled on the floor looking at a bunch of ants fighting, while some were drinking tea leisurely while playing chess. A number were playing flutes beside the pavilion, while others were walking around in ragged shoes. The tips were already tattered, revealing a few charming toes. Qin Mu retreated out of the place and raised his head to look at the horizontally inscribed board hanging on top of the Daoist monastery. He confirmed it was Jade Void Monastery before walking in again to ask an old Daoist, "Where is Dao Master Lin Xian?" "Dao Master." The old Daoist turned his head and shouted, "Someone is looking for you." Dao Master Lin Xian's voice came from the depths of Jade Void Monastery. "Got it, I'm coming out now. Please help me attend to them first, I'm at the crucial point of refining my pills." The old Daoist turned his head back and said, "Feel free." Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief. After waiting for a moment, he heard a loud explosion, and a mushroom cloud rose into the sky from where Dao Master Lin Xian's voice had come. A bunch of old Daoists and old Daoist nuns laughed. Dao Master exploded the furnace again. Dao Master Lin Xian came out with a sooty face and said, "Senior uncle, if you hadn't shouted, I still wouldn't have exploded the furnace." Cult Master Qin. Daoist Lin Xian saw Qin Mu and was astonished. He immediately wiped off the soot on his face and asked righteously, "How does Heavenly Devil Cult Master have the time to visit our Dao sect?" Heavenly Devil Cult Master. Once he said that, all the old Daoists and Daoist nuns turned to look at Qin Mu, and he felt murderous intent coming from their gazes. The grudges between Dao sect and Heavenly Devil Cult could be traced all the way back to some 10-20,000 years ago. The conflict between the two sects was carved into their bones, and to top it, Qin Mu had killed almost half of the experts from Dao sect in the capital to quell Ling Yuxia's rebellion. It was no wonder then that the strong practitioners around would radiate with murderous intent upon hearing his title. Qin Mu's face didn't change, but a white head popped out from the herb basket on his back. Village chief looked around. Wherever his gaze went, the old Daoists and Daoist nuns averted their gazes. They didn't look into his eyes, but hurried off to do their own stuff. Village chief then slowly shrunk back into the basket. Qin Mu took out the golden book and smiled. "Old Dao Master allowed me to read the 14 writings of Dao Sword, and I'm grateful for that. Now that senior brother Lin has become Dao Master, I've come to let you read a book. I shall give you 3 days." Dao Master Lin Xian smiled. "You had also let me see great educational Heavenly Devil scriptures, so you don't owe my Dao sect anything. This book." Once his gaze landed on the first page of the golden book that Qin Mu had flipped open, he found it hard to avert his gaze. He couldn't help taking out numerous rulers and measure the picture repeatedly. As he measured, he also kept mumbling different rhymes for calculation. When the old Daoists and Daoist nuns heard his rhymes, they paid no attention to it at first. But as Dao Master Lin Xian's rhymes became more and more profound and his calculations became more and more complicated, they couldn't help becoming curious. An old Daoist walked over, and his gaze was immediately captured by the picture in the golden book. After a moment, more and more old Daoists and old Daoist nuns gathered around. All of them were measuring and calculating. As they got entranced by the calculation, time passed without notice by them. Suddenly, a hand stretched out to take the golden book away, and Qin Mu's voice awakened them from their trance. "Dao Master, fellow senior brothers, 3 days are up." "Has it been 3 days already?" Lin Xian and the rest were astonished. Qin Mu smiled. "Farewell." When he was done, he turned around, planning to leave. "Hold your step. Cult Master Qin, hold your step." Qin Mu turned around and revealed a smile. Dao Master Lin Xian was the first to come back to his senses. He raised his hand to stop Qin Mu and said sincerely, "Cult Master Qin must hold his step. You have brought this golden book forward not to just let little Dao read for 3 days, you're trying to hook me. Since you have already thrown the bait and I'm already hooked, why not sit down and discuss it in detail?" The old Daoists all nodded and said in unison, "Discuss. There's nothing that can't be discussed. We are all people who cultivate Dao, all Qi cultivators, so there's nothing we can't discuss. The righteous path or the devil path are still both paths, we are one family." Dao Master Lin Xian invited Qin Mu to take a seat, and an old Daoist nun immediately went to boil some tea, which she served in a moment. Qin Mu drank it and smiled. "Wonderful tea, it's just a little inferior to that of high heavens." "What kind of tea is this? Can I have some?" "Can." The old Daoist nun grinned, revealing her few remaining teeth. "This is our Dao sect's heavenly green precious fragrance. Only tea leaves that are produced by a tree that grows at Jade Void Spring can be called heavenly green precious fragrance. There are only 3 such trees, and only a few pounds are produced each year. How many pounds does Cult Master Qin want?" Qin Mu placed the herb basket down and invited Village Chief to come out. He poured tea for him and asked, "Grandpa Village Chief, could you get used to this taste? Heavenly green precious fragrance has a light yet long-lasting aftertaste, so of course I would get used to it." Village Chief smiled. Not even the emperor gets to drink this tea. In that case, let's have £1 first so we can drink this new tea at the beginning of next spring. Bring us £1, I want the best quality one, Qin Mu said to the old Daoist nun. She hurried away and came back with a huge bag of tea after a moment. Qin Mu put it away and looked around before saying, Dao sect sure is poor. An old Daoist hurriedly said, we are not poor. We still had some property, but it was stolen by someone. Cult Master Qin, your golden book. Oh, it's from my old Qin family. Qin Mu placed the golden book to the side and said, I and Dao sect have some grudges, but I always wanted to come to apologize. However, I couldn't find the time. This trip today is to let Dao Master Lin Xian read the book and hopefully resolve this grudge between us. Cult Master Qin, it's enough. Dao Master Lin Xian said firmly. Grudges can be resolved, but the differences between our teachings are not the same thing. Even if we resolve our grudges today, we will fight again in the future because of our teachings, and more grudges will be created. Cult Master Qin, it's still better for us to talk about this golden book. Qin Mu exclaimed in his heart at this thorough judgment and said, Dao Master Lin's eyesight sure is deep, I'm truly amazed. In that case, let us talk about this golden book. It records 3 techniques which are Magpie Bridge, Mysterious Guide, and Divine Crossing. They are techniques used to connect the 7th divine treasure, the Divine Bridge. Everyone should be able to guess the reason why I brought this book forward. It indeed has techniques to patch the Divine Bridge. Numerous old Daoists and Daoist nuns' hearts were shaken. They were so excited they found it hard to control themselves. Patching the Divine Bridge and breaking through the last obstacle to become a god was the dream of who knew how many people. Even the experts of Dao sect were not exempt. Cultivating into immortals meant nothing for the people of Dao sect. It was merely a kind of excuse to console oneself. Immortal was a title that came from Little Jade capital with which the experts of Dao sect frequently interacted. The people there posed themselves as immortals, living on a mountain away from worldly affairs. They were even more tranquil and lofty than people of Dao sect. When the old Daoists and Daoist nuns took the first look at the Golden Book, they were immediately shaken by the secrets of Magpie Bridge. They had immediately become aware that this was a technique to patch the Divine Bridge, and it was extremely intricate, which was why they didn't sleep, eat, or even rest for 3 days. Once Qin Mu repeated what they thought, that this was 3 techniques to patch the Divine Bridge so it would connect to the celestial heavens, the experts of Dao sect had an urge to snatch the book back. However, looking at that armless and legless elder who could still drink tea at the side, they calmed down. 3 days ago, this elder who popped out from the basket had only given them a look, yet they had seen the extremes of sword skills. When they saw the gaze of this elder, they felt like they were seeing a sword attacking toward them. They could neither avoid nor defend against this attack, so they had all averted their eyes instead. They were all legends of Dao sect, so even though they weren't at the level of old Dao Master, they were all people of the Cult Master level with superior sword skills. Yet this elder made them feel that if they snatched the book by force, they would definitely die a miserable way. Dao Master Lin Xian's gaze flickered. His vital qi burst forth and arranged a model of heavenly cycle stars with algebra. Cult Master, please solve this. Qin Mu smiled, knowing that his attainments in algebra were being tested. If he knew nothing about algebra, Dao sect could then raise their initial price. If Qin Mu had extremely high attainments and let Dao sect know they were dispensable, only then would he make them willing to assist him. This is the technique of Great Heavenly Cycle Stars Heaven Chess Transformation. Qin Mu's fingers moved and dotted here and there on the heavenly cycle stars while he said rapidly, Great Heavenly Cycle has 365 stars, while the 366th one is hidden inside. It's Celestial Emperor Jade Emperor constellation. You didn't label Jade Emperor for me to solve the Jade Emperor's star number, right? Just as he said that, Qin Mu drew a star on the Great Heavenly Cycle of stars with vital qi. Jade Emperor's star number is right here. The hearts of all old Daoists and Daoist nuns in Jade Void Monastery shook, and they all looked at one another. Heavenly Devil Cult Master's attainments in algebra are extremely high, he solved it so fast. He managed to calculate Jade Emperor's star number so quickly, so the technique in the Golden Book shouldn't be too difficult for him. All he needs is time. Dao Master Lin Xian dispersed his vital qi and asked in doubt, since Cult Master Qin can solve it, why did he still come to our Dao sect? I can solve it by myself, but it would take a very long time. I can't wait that long, Qin Mu said with a resolute expression. I also need the experts of Dao sect to help me calculate the space algebra model for a divine canon. These two matters require many experts that are proficient in algebra. If Dao sect is willing to assist me, then it will receive copies of the 3 techniques to patch the divine bridge and the space algebra. In Jade Void Monastery, everyone took in a deep breath as the place became silent. Qin Mu put away the Golden Book and rose. If Dao Master Lin Xian is interested, there's no harm in waiting in Imperial College. I need to take a trip to Little Jade Capital and invite a few experts who are proficient in algebra from there. That's right, Dao Master Lin, could you gift me a computational canon of Mysterious Lady? Small matter, Dao Master Lin Xian said and passed one over. Qin Mu put it in his Dao Tai sack and expressed his thanks. He then said profoundly, your master, old Dao Master, is also at Little Jade Capital, right? He doesn't have much time left. If we fixed these techniques of patching the divine bridge. Dao Master Lin Xian's body trembled, but he didn't say anything. Qin Mu walked out of Jade Void Monastery and called Xiong Xiu and Xiong Chia, who were waiting outside, to go down the mountain. Dao Master Lin Xian let out a shaky breath and looked at the old Daoists in Jade Void Monastery. All of them were looking back at him as well. Dao Master Lin Xian suddenly rose and said solemnly, gather all the people that are proficient in algebra. We will go down the mountain and head for the capital. Think thrice, Dao Master, an old Daoist immediately said. Dao Master really wants to work together with Heavenly Devil Cult. Those people have the ambition of wild wolves, and the Heavenly Devil Cult Master of this generation is extremely talented. He also harbors evil intentions, having killed who knows how many of our senior and junior brothers in the capital city. Another old Daoist nun said, Heavenly Saint Cult's Cult Master Qin is indeed much smarter and more ruthless than Li Qianqing, so he's harder to deal with as well. He most likely brought the Golden Book to lure us into a trap. Our Dao sect and Heavenly Devil sect's grudge is deep, and this Heavenly Devil Cult Master is fearful. He's not a kind person. Dao Master, please think thrice. We must go to the capital. And we must get the method to become a god. Dao Master Lin Xian brushed his sleeves and said indifferently, fellow senior brothers, say no more. Cult Master Qin is right. Even if we don't assist him, he can solve the contents of the Golden Book by himself. What's more, Imperial College and Little Jade Capital also have people that are proficient in algebra, so calculating the space algebra model is merely a matter of time. If our Dao sect is a step behind, we will slowly get farther and farther away, until we will be surpassed by Heavenly Devil Cult. We will fall in time. He turned around to pack his luggage. Our Dao sect requires its own god, a living god to protect it. In this world of huge changes, a sacred ground that doesn't change will have no way to survive. Numerous old Daoists didn't say anything and packed their own luggage. They picked out the outstanding disciples and prepared to head to the capital. Suddenly, an old Daoist let out a world-shaking scream, God damn it, who has stolen the leader's horsetail whisk? Another angry voice sounded out from another side of the mountain, who ate my fish? Who stole my mountain and river screen? That's my precious treasure that I worked on for many years. Who has seen my Universe Bay? It's a fake mountain that I refined after taking Universe Bay away. My hairpin was placed on the dressing table, who took it? Below Jade Void Mountain, Qin Mu passed by the mountain gate. The old Daoist guarding the mountain was standing at the straw hut. He returned Qin Mu's clothes to him and asked suspiciously, Old thief god has stolen our Dao sect's treasure again. Qin Mu took back the clothes and shook his head. I didn't see him on the mountain. The old Daoist stamped his feet and said, crap. If you saw him, he could still be lazing around somewhere, but if you didn't see him, then that old scoundrel could have flipped the graves of our ancestors over and over again. When he was done, the old Daoist called the big yellow dog over and led it up the mountain. The big yellow dog was incomparably nimble as it jumped to the top. There, he sniffed around, and began barking, causing a havoc. "If we don't go now, the experts of Dao sect will slaughter their way down," village chief who was in the herb basket warned. Qin Mu came back to his senses and hurried the dragon Qilin, "Run quickly." The dragon Qilin immediately sprinted away toward the majestic Kunlun mountain range. After running for a long time, they finally left the Kunlun mountain range. With a worried expression, Qin Mu said, "I wonder if Grandpa Cripple was able to make it out." Before he could finish saying this, he saw Cripple sitting in the shade of a huge tree in front of them. He seemed to have been waiting for a long while. Qin Mu was dumbfounded and wanted to say something, but Cripple suddenly leaped to his feet as though fire was burning his buttocks. He scrambled away and disappeared into thin air. A voice then came from the distance, "Mua, you guys shall go to Little Jade capital first. I'll be right there." A huge dog landed nearby, and sitting on the back of it were a few old Daoists. Both male and female ones were full of killing intent. The huge dog sniffed at the ground, and clouds grew under its feet. It rose into the sky and chased in the direction Cripple had left. Its speed was extremely fast, and it moved like flickering lights and passing shadows. Qin Mu was stunned. He looked at the dragon Qilin with a pleasant expression. "Fatty dragon, can you catch up to that dog?" The dragon Qilin shook his head. "That fellow runs very fast, I can't catch up to him." "It can run faster than you by eating shit," Qin Mu said in a pained voice. "How dare you still have the face to eat spirit pills for all your meals?" The dragon Qilin wagged his tail and fawned. "I'm more majestic than it." Qin Mu was speechless. How was riding a huge meatball with a tail majestic? He ate better than anyone, and it was still fine if he couldn't outrun the green bull, but now he couldn't even catch up to a dog. "Cult Master, do you dislike me already?" The dragon Qilin turned his head around with watery eyes. "You must dislike me, right?" Qin Mu snorted and his brows softened. "No. Another few months, and it's New Year again, so how can I dislike you? How about I give you 2 buckets of scarlet fire spirit pills each day? You can eat more, plump yourself up." The dragon Qilin shuddered, and Xiong Chia climbed onto his head. She carefully grabbed a tuft of hair on the back of his ear so that she wouldn't fall off. She whispered in his ear, "Don't eat anymore, you will be slaughtered for New Year." The dragon Qilin spoke in a sob to her, his voice soft, "I know. I just can't control myself." Little Jade capital was in the sky far from Dao sect. With the dragon Qilin's speed, he would need to run for 10 days to reach the place. Qin Mu made a rocking chair and secured it on the dragon Qilin's wide back. He then placed village chief on it. The one good thing about the dragon Qilin being fat was that he could run steadily, so there was no worry that village chief would fall off. Xiong Xiu sometimes drank tea with him, while Qin Mu would go down to buy spirit herbs when they passed by cities to continue with the treatment of her injuries. She also didn't break her promise and imparted the 10,000 soul nature technique of True Heaven Palace to Qin Mu. 10,000 soul nature technique had the meaning of all things having spirit and soul. The cultivation method of West Earth's True Heaven Palace was different from the cultivation method of Middle Earth. Its way was slightly similar to that of Dao sect, as they were both close to nature. However, Dao sect studied mathematical reasoning thoroughly. One of Dao follows the nature, whereas True Heaven Palace focused more on the interaction with all things, materializing the soul. The technique of True Heaven Palace cultivated an incomparably strong power of interaction, granting all things soul. Qin Mu pondered for a moment and felt that this technique was more suitable for women to cultivate. Women's thoughts were more meticulous and their perception was keener, so they naturally surpassed men in this. If he cultivated it, he could achieve something, but it wouldn't be of much use to him. The thing that was useful, however, was the method of creation that laid within it. Granting all things soul was a kind of creation, and compared to the 7 writings of creation in great educational heavenly devil scriptures, 10,000 soul nature technique was more direct and also more intricate. There were things he could derive from it. This technique from True Heaven Palace doesn't look like something from this era. When Xiong Xiu had taught Qin Mu 10,000 soul nature technique, village chief was also listening to it, analyzing what he heard. Palace Master Xiong, your technique from True Heaven Palace seems a little ancient and is different from the techniques of founding Emperor era. When was True Heaven Palace founded? Xiong Xiu shook her head. I don't know about this. The moment I became the Palace Master, you family rebelled and seized the power, so I didn't have the time to look at the records of my True Heaven Palace. However, I know that it's extremely ancient and it goes back to the dim and distant past. I had once heard Naikue say that our True Heaven Palace is even older than the sacred grounds in Middle-earth. Her expression dimmed, but soon her spirits rose up again. If both of you could assist me in taking back the control of True Heaven Palace, I would let the two of you read the books in the palace to your heart's content. Village Chief yawned and closed his eyes to sleep. Xiong Xiu looked at Qin Mu, but he was playing with Xiong Chia. He used his brush to draw a few birds, who then flew out. The birds circled around the little girl while chirping, making Xiong Chia giggle non-stop. Xiong Xiu sighed and didn't say anything else. It was obvious that Qin Mu and Village Chief had no intention of helping her seize back the power. Going to True Heaven Palace was troublesome, and she couldn't take out anything of value, so the two of them were not interested. The only method left for me now is to assume the position of Directorate in Eternal Peace Empire's Imperial College, hoping to discuss this with Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor in detail. Her gaze flickered as she pondered this. However, from the actions of Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, after he conquers the prairie, he probably won't stop expanding. Even the icy plains in the north would find it hard to stop him. Could West Earth be one of his targets as well? If she discussed it with him, she would probably be asking the tiger for his skin. She was hesitant about it, but when she remembered how Xiong family was left with only the two of them, she steeled her heart. You family exterminated my Xiong family, so I have to take revenge. And so what if I show the wolf into my house? I must take revenge. Qin Mu took a glance at her. Women were the ones in charge of West Earth, and from her methods, Xiong Xiu was indeed not suitable to be the princess of True Heaven Palace. She didn't have enough boldness and capability. The reason why Qin Mu didn't want to help her was because she lacked the ability, so even if she regained the control, she wouldn't have a firm seating. Since she was a strong practitioner who had opened Divine Bridge Divine Treasure, she had enough strength, but to control an entire sacred ground was not as simple as relying on one's personal strength. The fall into ruin of Xiong family and its extermination soon after Xian Xiu ascended to the position of Palace Master was enough to prove that she was not qualified to be a Palace Master. When Qin Mu had recommended for her to go teach at Imperial College, it was to give her the chance to meet Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor, who had the ambition and capability. If Xiong Xiu wanted his hand to take revenge, she would have to pay a price that was big enough. But all of this was unrelated to Qin Mu. Suddenly, Village Chief opened his eyes and looked into the distance in astonishment. Qin Mu's heart moved slightly. Village Chief, what's wrong? Someone is inviting me to battle. An old opponent? Village Chief raised his eyebrows, but said, ignore them. We are almost at Little Jade capital. We will talk when we get there. Inviting you to battle? Qin Mu stared blankly. Inviting Village Chief to battle? Aren't they afraid of dying? At that moment, Xu Shenghua, who was in Little Jade capital, suddenly rose and looked into the distance. An expression of doubt came onto his face. Old Dao Master and Old Rulai were also at this place, so they could all sense it when they looked in the direction of Qingmen Pass. These auras are quite strong, a blind man propping himself on a bamboo cane said in astonishment. Old Butcher, can you sense it? Butcher was currently using a pig slaughtering knife to cut his nails. He raised his eyebrows. These people have some ability. Their origins make me very curious. Yu Li and the rest of the girls didn't sense any peculiarity and asked in bewilderment, young master, what's wrong? My masters came down, Xu Shenghua said in astonishment. So many gods came down. Did something happen in high heavens? Old Rulai smiled. Young Master Xu, the aura that they are releasing seems to be challenging someone. It shouldn't be high heavens that are in trouble. Xu Shenghua pondered over it. Challenging someone? That someone can only be an expert like Old Human Emperor or Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. The latter may be known as the #1 man under gods, but he still doesn't have the qualifications for it, so it can only be Old Human Emperor. Hermit Qin Mu, sorry for disturbing you over the past few days. Thank you for the hospitality, I shall take my leave now. Hermit Qin Mu tried to have him stay. Why doesn't young Master Shu stay for a few more days? Even though our little Jade capital can't compare to your high heavens, it's still considered a tranquil place that is hard to find. Seeing the ultimate arts of little Jade capital these few days has widened my horizons and allowed me to gain much benefit. However, since my masters have come forth to challenge Old Human Emperor, I cannot miss it, said Shu Shenghua. Hermit Qin Yu didn't urge him to stay anymore. Shu Shenghua brought Jing Yang, Yu Liu, and the rest of the girls down the mountain. They came to a pleasure boat, which they boarded swiftly. It sailed through the sky that was as smooth as a water mirror, creating ripples as it went into the distance. When it left Little Jade capital, the sky that was like a water mirror disappeared, and the ripples also vanished without a trace, becoming a true sky. The pleasure boat slowly sailed through the sky into the distance. Butcher threw a glance at Blind, who smiled. I can't see even if you throw glances at me, I'm a blind man. Senior brother Qing Yu, old Daoist, old monk, us brothers will be leaving the mountain too. Hermit Qin Yu immediately said, senior brothers are also people who have achieved the Tao, so why not stay in Little Jade capital? The world of mortals is muddy, so why do you have to get yourself dirted? Butcher shook his pig slaughtering knife, which expanded in the wind, transforming into a door-sized blade that leaned against his shoulder. He smiled. I'm a butcher, and would you allow me to open a butchery here? If I can't sell meat and earn money, am I going to drink the northwest wind? Hermit Qin Yu's face froze, and Blind waved his hand. With so much spring in the garden, how can it be contained? Meeting now, need we have known each other before? The most precious time is priceless. Senior brother Qin Yu, no need to see me out. Hermit Qin Yu was stunned. While he tried to understand what those poem lines meant, Butcher and Blind walked out of Little Jade capital. Butcher's voice came from the water mirror sky. Blind, your first sentence means that we are leaving, right? Which is why the spring can't be contained, which also means that Little Jade capital can't hold us back. The second sentence should be a polite formula, saying how strangers coming together by chance, chatting through the night about path, skills, and divine arts end up as friends. The third sentence is even more remarkable. It means that we have urgent matters and have to go as soon as possible, therefore the most precious time is priceless. Is what I said right? Blind sounded proud. Butcher, you're indeed my soulmate. This is indeed what my 3 poem lines meant. That guy Def keeps saying I'm frivolous, but how can he understand my brilliant expression of emotions? With great admiration, Butcher praised him, you are indeed getting more and more talented. Your feelings are like poems, Levin Hermit Qin Yu stunned. Even the old Daoist and the eminent monk were dumbfounded. Hermit Qin Yu was dumbstruck. Old Dao Master and Old Rulai were also akin to wooden chicken. Not long after Butcher and Blind left, a voice suddenly came from far away. The current human emperor has come to visit Little Jade capital. Hermit Qin Yu's heart trembled violently, and he dared not be negligent. He hurriedly beat the bronze gong, and the sound of it reverberated throughout Little Jade capital. Sagely elders came out from the celestial mountains. They flew over with immortal breath rising in spirals as they came to Hermit Qin Yu's side. Everyone looked at the water mirror in the sky and saw a black lump flying over, creating ripples on its way over. Hermit Qin Yu trembled his sleeves as if he was shaking off dust, but Little Jade capital was the sacred ground of immortals, so from where could there be dust? Hermit Qin Yu took a step forward and raised his hands high above his head. The black lump that was plain and ordinary fell into his hand. Hermit Qin Yu then took a step back and placed his hands down. The other old immortals of Little Jade capital immediately came forward to take a look with solemn expressions. Human Emperor's seal. We are honored by your presence, Human Emperor, please. As they said that, they saw a dragon Chileen dragging its huge tummy to carefully walk through the water mirror sky. The tummy created ripples as it touched the water surface. An adorable and clever little girl was sprawled beside the ear of the dragon Qin. She said softly, "Fatty dragon, suck in your tummy." The dragon Qin did as asked and straightened himself to walk forward majestically. However, he only took a few steps before his tummy relaxed and smacked the water mirror with a boing. This video will end here.